Welcome, everyone, to Bayou Bets. I'm Thomas Casali with Spencer the Guru Urquhart. No Jim today. The Saints were so awful on Sunday, Spencer, that it caused Jim to go into a sickness. He couldn't show up today. The poor guy. I got a feeling we're going to talk about it, but the Saints' performance on Sunday might have had a lot of people sick today.
I know, right? Yeah, glad to be co-hosting with you this afternoon, Thomas. I think it's our first time together, so glad to have that happen. But unfortunately, Jim couldn't be here. Wish him the best. Hopefully I know he's dairy down, or hopefully he's not sick dairy for too much longer, because we need him back here soon. But we wish him a speedy recovery. But that was an ugly performance yesterday. It was at the Dome, and the energy was, oh man, we'll get more into it, but it was not pretty.
Spencer, listen, I sat here and watched LSU Ole Miss on Saturday night, and I thought to myself, there's nothing on earth that could make me angrier this weekend than what I saw from the LSU defense. And the Saints did the impossible. Watching them made me more mad than I was watching the LSU defense. Listen, I'm going to tell you from an outsider's perspective, that's a joke. Okay, whatever they did on Sunday, whatever we were watching is a complete joke. Dennis Allen, listen, we need better than that, or you better call a real estate agent. That's not going to cut it. We got a guy playing quarterback who shouldn't be out there playing quarterback. You got a backup who's won in this league who you refuse to go to. So me sitting on my couch watching the game, I had a lot of questions. You were at the Dome, where I heard a rumor, Spencer. A lot of people were filing out early. Give us the view from the Dome and what it was like watching that performance.
Yeah, he definitely did file out early, but as Robin points out, Tulane won, so at least one of the local teams did good.
Tulane's rolling, baby.
Yes. But back to the main point here with the Saints, it was just, it got really bad there. In the fourth quarter, it was clear that the offense wasn't going to figure it out. Fans were booing, filing out. It was the worst Saints atmosphere I've witnessed in person. I mean, outside of in the Dome anyway. I was a little kid at those Tiger Stadium games back in 2005. But ever since then, it's been pretty positive for the Saints. The Sean Payton, Drew Brees era happened in 2006, a year after, and things were pretty steady. But this was a new low, and they've got to get this figured out. I mean, the season's not over, but it's definitely took a huge step back after this loss, because you started off 2-0, now you're 2-2, and you've got no answers on offense. You got Alvin Kamara back, and yet your offense took a step backwards. Like, what the hell is that? It's just
and listen,
frustrating.
And they have talent on offense. Let's be honest. We got Gary says out coach, fire Dennis Allen. Let's talk about that for a second, because listen, I'm just going to be honest with everybody. This guy lost games last year. I'll go to the primetime game against the Bucs. Everybody can talk about Mark Ingram stepping out 1 yard before the first down. Okay, there was a lot wrong in that game, and it was a lot wrong from the coaching staff. They lost that game, all right? And people like to focus on one thing, like last night with the holding call. Robert Saleh kicked a long field goal on 4th and 1 early in the game, okay? Sometimes coaching loses the game, not referees. And listen, Dennis Allen has to be better. I don't know how many times I'm going to sit there and watch a 3-man rush on 3rd down. I mean, this defense is killing people. And then on 3rd down, it's always 3-man rush. I mean, there was one time where Baker Mayfield, I counted, had 10 seconds in the pocket. 10 seconds. Not good enough, Spencer.
No, definitely not good enough, because this is not only on the offense, but also the Saints defense. Their string of allowing 20 points or less ended this week, and not like the Bucs or some dynamic offense. Mike Evans had a hamstring injury that caused him to miss the second half, and yet the defense seemed to get worse. So, Dennis Allen definitely has a lot of work to do. And Carmichael, as Glenn's bringing up, is a complete and utter disaster. All good points here that he's making.
Yep.
I mean, it's got to end. And at the very least, I don't think they're going to be able to fire him, because you can't implement a new offense within a week or whatever. But you definitely need a new play caller, I feel like. You got to let someone else call the plays, someone else on the staff who has got to be better than Carmichael, because Carmichael's play calling we saw clips on Twitter. I mean, that goofy play they did with Carr, acting like Carr was going to go out wide, and they had Taysom, and it hands to Kamara, and it ends up like a 10-yard loss. I mean, what, that is so ridiculous. That's probably some old play Sean Payton had. That's what Jim was saying in the press box. Like, oh, here goes Carmichael dusting off all the old Sean Payton trick plays that don't work. And boy, did it get exposed Sunday, because in the Derek Carr thing, that's the other elephant in the room. Yeah, Pete Carmichael's play calling was bad, but the bottom line was Derek Carr was not himself out there. To me, the Saints should have protected him against himself. And not saying Jameis is the savior or anything, but I feel like a healthy Jameis probably would have been better than a banged-up Carr in that spot.
No, I agree. And listen, whoever your starting quarterback is, if they're hurt for the season, you're probably not winning anything. I mean, if Dak Prescott gets hurt, say goodnight, right? If Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, say goodnight. But you got to have a guy that you trust to come in a game, 2 games, 3 games. If your starter's down, what's going on there with Jameis Winston? Okay, because like you said, I don't care what you think about Derek Carr. All right. I think he tries hard. I think he gets the most out of his talent. Do I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL? No, not by a long shot. But here's the thing. He shouldn't have been out there on Sunday. No way should he have been out there on Sunday. And I'm just wondering, what is your perspective from being down there? Why are they so afraid to put Jameis Winston in the game?
Yeah, it just seems to me that DA just doesn't really trust him, and that he's very turnover prone. And some people might point to they put him in at the end and he threw the interception, but that's not at all on him. That was on just the game being way out of hand, and you just throwing him in there. So it's like, what the hell? You just might as well just throw a jump ball at that point. So yeah, it's just one of those things to where I don't understand why they even brought him back this offseason. If you have that little faith in him, and plus you're paying him more than a typical backup, you might as well just moved on from him and let freaking Jake Haener be the backup. I know Haener ended up suspended, but I mean, and you still could have, even so, you could have brought in like Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe could have come in because he's someone that's a little more serviceable. But I felt like the perk with Jameis was that if you have a guy like Jameis, he's a guy that could help win you a game if needed, because Jameis, when he's right, is very solid. I know he makes mistakes, but he can also make plays, unlike most backup quarterbacks. So, yeah, I just don't understand the lack of faith in him, considering that Derek Carr's injury was expected to be a week-to-week thing. And I'm sure Derek Carr really pushed the play. He probably was like, I can do it. But you got to – that's just when, as a medical staff, which maybe he did get clear, but it was really more on the coaching. The coaching staff would have to be like, look, we don't feel like you're ready. We're going to let Jameis go. But I know hindsight's 20/20, but damn, they really got to go back to the drawing board, because what they did Sunday did not work whatsoever.
Yeah, and I see some people in the chat saying, Jameis, he stinks and all this. Listen, I'm not saying Jameis should be the starter. I'm saying if your quarterback is hurt, you have to have a backup you trust to play a game or two. If that's not Jameis, fine, get rid of him. Start Taysom Hill. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, or Taysom Hill, might as well.
Yeah, you can't play a guy who can't throw the ball over 10 yards. It makes it too easy for the defense. And, we've seen a lot of comments about the team look lost, poorly coached team. And that's what they look like on Sunday. This is a bad coach team. The entire team look lost. But as you pointed out, Spencer, correctly, as bad as Sunday was, all's not lost for the Saints. Right? They're 2-2. They're at New England this Sunday. They're a 1.5 underdog. But for the first time, since odds were released, the Saints are not the lone favorites to win the NFC South. They are tied with the Bucs, and we're talking months the Saints were the clear favorite. So give me your thoughts on where the Saints go from here, and if you still think they can win this division.
Oh, man, I think it's still possible, but it's not looking good. I still think Atlanta, I know Atlanta stunk yesterday, and they've got a lot of work to do on offense, kind of in a similar spot to the Saints, but I think it still could come down to the Saints in Atlanta, because I'm not buying Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay yesterday was just a product of the Saints stinking up the joint. I really don't think Baker Mayfield's very good. I mean, he made a few plays, he did his thing, but he had the lead the whole time. When Baker Mayfield has a lead, he's okay. When he has to make a comeback, he's trash, as we saw last year. Ended up on 2 different teams. So I'm honestly not that scared of Tampa Bay because I think yesterday was more of a product of the Saints losing the game than it was of Tampa Bay winning the game. But as far as my confidence in the Saints being able to clean it up and win the division, I'm really not sure. And the name that, going back to my point earlier about play calling, to me, they should give the play calling duties to RC, Ronald Curry, the quarterback's coach, because he called some plays in the preseason. I know preseason's different animal, not nearly as tough, but I mean, Saints offense looked pretty decent in the preseason. So to me, got to change play callers, and you still have Carmichael on the staff because he knows a lot of the things that worked back in the day with Sean Payton, and just got to make some adjustments. You can't completely scrap it 4 weeks in. You've got to kind of go with what you got, but you also can't just keep banging your head against the wall. You've got to make some pretty big changes here, because if they don't, to me, if they keep Carmichael calling the plays, they'll be lucky to win 6 games.
Yeah, and listen, Spencer, there's belly aching and then there's facts. Here's a fact. They haven't scored a touchdown in 6 quarters. All right. Now, luckily, they're going against a team that also hasn't scored a touchdown in 4 quarters, who just got blasted and embarrassed by the Cowboys in New England. Now, I worked for the Patriots for a few years. You can bet the practice this week is not going to be fun in Bill Belichick land. All right. What do you see this week? Obviously, these are 2 defensive-minded teams. Defenses are gonna rule. The Patriots defense did not look good on Sunday, but they're a good defensive team, and they're going to be able to control the Saints. How do you see this game going? And the next game, I believe you told me, is Jacksonville, right?
Texans and then Jacksonville.
Texans and Jacksonville. So you got an improved Texans team. You got Jacksonville. This 3-game stretch. Tell me how you see the Saints getting through this.
I think they got to get through it 2-1 if they want to stay above water. It's all AFC teams, but I mean, the wins all count the same. So it's one of those things where you can't let this snowball. You've got to get back on track here quick in this league. As we saw, I mean, if you get on a losing spell like the Panthers, they're 4,500 now to win the South, 0-4. I mean, things can unravel really quickly. So yeah, this Saints team still has the talent to get back on track. That's why it's that time to completely give up, because if they can make some tweaks there with the coaching and play calling, this team could still win 9 or 10 games. All hope is not lost, but I'm just not confident that they're going to make the decisions and the adjustments needed to overcome this. I'm sick and tired of DA and this coaching staff. I have just lost hope. After yesterday, I'm out. I don't think the Saints make the playoffs anymore. Maybe y'all can run this back and say I overreacted, but yesterday that was powerful to me, and this tells me that this team is not a true contender.
All right, Saints don't make the playoffs. Do they fire Dennis Allen?
They should, but they tend to be too loyal to coaches. If they have a losing season like I'm thinking they could, then yes, because there's now be 2 straight losing seasons, and this is a team that had been used to winning. I mean, the Saints from 2017 to 2020 had winning seasons and made the playoffs. So that'd be now 3 straight years of no playoffs. So yeah, DA has got to turn the ship around, but I think by making Ronald Curry play caller, you could just, obviously, you're still going to have Carmichael in the building. I mean, if you just completely can him, you can't learn a new offense on the fly. You've got to keep most of the offense intact. But to me, promoting Curry to play caller would help at least a little bit.
Yeah, well, Everest says playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, Everest, if they were in a real division, we probably wouldn't be talking about playoffs. But this is any team's ball game in the NFC South. So I still think they have a chance. But I see Everest throw. You can see the lack of effort in the players. I don't know if he's talking about the Saints or LSU. Because
I think the Saints.
I know I'm joking. This is what they call in the business transition.
Yes. Segue. Yeah.
So listen. There's one thing that first of all, I want to say this. I'm a volunteer. I'm not a coach. I coach youth football, which means I walk out there with a whistle. But all I ask for is effort. Try. Okay. I watched LSU on Saturday night. And I rewinded at least 10 plays to show my oldest son, who's 12 years old, guys standing around, guys not trying to get off blocks. And I said to him, if that was you and modified, we'd pull you off the field. This is a a top D1 program, and I'm watching kids out there who don't even want to be on the field. So I got to ask you, Spencer, LSU has talent. We know that. We know they have talent on the offense. If you score 49 points, you should win every game you play. What in God's name is going on with that LSU defense?
Oh man, it's so embarrassing. I mean, like Ole Miss's offense is nothing fancy. I mean, Lane Kiffin is, in my opinion, not that great of an offensive mind, and they just ran all over LSU because LSU just a lack of effort. It seemed they just didn't seem to have what it took to come anywhere close to slowing that attack down, and it was really alarming because the week before against Arkansas had a similar result, but Jaden Daniels is able to will them to the win. And I was thinking, they just overlooked Arkansas. They'll be prepared for Ole Miss, but yeah, hit 55 points. That's unacceptable. I don't care who you're playing. And I don't care if you're playing USC and Caleb Williams. I mean, it's like you can't allow 55 points if you expect to be a real college football playoff contender. Now you got 2 losses. You basically got to win out now, and you still got a lot of tough games. I mean, at Missouri this weekend, that's not a gimme. Missouri's been averaging over 30 a game. It's probably going to be another track meet. And, man, it's just I'm not as down on LSU as the Saints. I still think LSU, with that offense, can get it together and get on a streak and potentially upset Georgia there. But they've got to get that defense cleaned up, though, because if they keep allowing points like that, then they're not going to win anything that matters.
Yeah, well, and someone on our staff joked, if you took the Saints defense and the LSU offense, probably have the best team of all time. Right? Each team is struggling on the opposite side of the ball there. I want to ask you about defensive coordinator. It's Matt House, right? I only remember the names of coordinators who are good. So Brian Kelly stood by, Matt House. LSU fans, I don't think are as happy. Do we have a slide of what they did? I don't know if we have a slide of it. What they did on
Wikipedia. Yeah, Clownville.
Yeah, lives in Clownville. Went to Clown College. I have always said there's nothing funnier than SEC fans upset. I mean, their originality is something to behold. I mean, there's nobody in the Midwest or the Northeast that can come up with stuff like SEC fans. It's phenomenal. Listen, Brian Kelly's got to say that he's not going to make a defensive coaching change right now. They have 2 losses. They'll have to figure that out at the end of the year. But if I say, I know you said you believe a little bit more in LSU. If I said this, to tell me which one you would pick. LSU, because they can still do this, win the SEC championship. Saints win the NFC South. You have to put your money on one of those. Which one is it?
To win to beat Georgia, to go
to get to the SEC championship.
Yeah,
let's go
okay,
that.
To win the SEC West. Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about beating Georgia right now.
Okay, Saints to win the NFC South or LSU to win the SEC West. Yeah, I mean the most people would still, I'm sure, say Saints to win the NFC South, but I'm going to overreact and say LSU to win the SEC West because I still think LSU can beat Alabama. I still don't believe in this Alabama team. That Mississippi State game was a joke. I mean, Mississippi State is not anywhere close to being where they need to be. I mean, with rest in peace, Coach Leach, because, I mean, their new guy there has not gotten them where they need to be yet. It's a rebuild there now. So Alabama, I don't buy them, and I still think LSU can beat Missouri, Auburn. I don't think they played Tennessee this year, but any other SEC team on their schedule is very beatable. I mean, A&M could be tricky, but A&M they're always hit or miss. So I'll go out on a limb and say LSU because I'm just that stinking fed up with Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. I'm just so done with that. That culture, as Everest was saying in the chat, just you can just see the lack of effort, locker room loss. I'm out on the Saints.
Yeah, I'll go the other way only because I think when your defense is that bad, it's almost impossible to fix. And the things I saw, I don't think you fix overnight. Listen, USC's got the same problem with Alex Grinch. And that comes down to practicing. They're not tackling. They're not teaching things the right way. And LSU and USC, now they play next year in the opener. If they play in a bowl game, I think the total would be set at about 95, and I like the over. All right, that's going to be
100 plus points.
Yeah, that's 100 plus points for fun if those two teams meet. But listen, hey, like they said in the chat, Tulane won. Well, Tulane's rolling. Maybe Tulane gets through the rest of the season with only the Ole Miss loss without their starting quarterback, and there'll be big things ahead for Tulane for the second straight year. So, we still got the green wave. And El Ray says Dennis Allen isn't a good coach, period. Brian Kelly is who he always was, 2 wins from great. I think that's a pretty good assessment. I'm not a Dennis Allen fan. I think Brian Kelly is a good coach. I thought he was a tad overrated at Notre Dame. Didn't hate the hire, but you got to surround yourself with better coordinators. You just have to. I mean, you're not going to win games that way. So we talked about the local stuff, Spencer. But there's other things going on, right? We got Major League Baseball playoffs are starting. Yes. Who does anyone here care about Major League Baseball playoffs? I'll be honest. I don't care about Major League Baseball for most of the season. I do like the playoffs. I had a future on the Mariners to win the World Series. They came up just short to get in a tough division. The Orioles, 200-1 before the season. My son's team is now plus 650. The Astros going for their 3rd straight World Series. The Braves, the clear favorite, best team in baseball all season. Spencer, who do you like to win the World Series?
Man, it's tough to say, Thomas. They got so many good teams on this board. I tell you what, man, I think the Tampa Bay Rays offer some value at 12-1. That's such a resilient team. They've been through so much, lost so many key players. They just keep finding a way. Next man up over there seems to work. My dad's written them off. He said they're down too many guys, but I think this could be the year they get through. People are really sleeping on them. They won over 90 games yet again. And so, this Rays team, is going to be serious. And another team I like there at 18-1, the Milwaukee Brewers. I know the Braves and the Dodgers are the favorites there, and rightfully so, but I think the Brewers could be sneaky in the NL. You got 2 elite pitchers there, Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff, so I think the Brewers could go toe-to-toe with those big dogs in the NL.
Yeah, no, I think those are 2 good picks. I think the Braves have been the best team all year. I like them in the National League. I'm going to go with the Orioles. I know their closer isn't back like they wanted, but that team's got something going with the Orioles and the Braves. See what happens. I think the Braves take it all, but it should be fun. Major League Baseball playoffs, even if you're not a huge fan, is always fun to watch. But before we go, Spencer, I mean, we've done a lot of complaining on this show, right? We're down on the Saints, we're down on LSU. What about the other New Orleans team, the Pelicans? That gets rolling soon, and there was an interesting new policy that came out in the NBA that affects Zion and the Pelicans. Why don't you let us know what that is and why it's so interesting?
Right, yeah, the NBA star player policy. I think they call it, the more official name, player participation policy, but to where you can't rest multiple stars on one night. I believe that's the current update as far, especially in also primetime games. As far as primetime games, you cannot rest these quote-unquote star players. And to qualify as a star player, it means you had to have made an all-NBA team or an NBA all-star team within the past 3 seasons. And the only New Orleans Pelican to fall under this policy is Zion. Brandon Ingram, a lot of people view as a star, but he doesn't qualify because his all-star appearance was now 4 seasons ago. So from a Pelicans perspective, that's good, because if they want to play the load management game with him, they can. But with Zion, it's a little trickier because he's under this new star policy. But my response to that is, well, will this even matter? Zion is hardly ever available. And maybe this will be the year that changes, but I'm not really confident in that, because he's just showing year after year that he's never really ready for the full season. It's the rigors of a full NBA season. You've got to have your body ready to go, and he just never seems to do so. I mean, LeBron you can't compare people to LeBron like that, but Zion has the physical capabilities of LeBron, where I will compare him in that sense. So he's now got to do his part and stay on the field. He's got God's gift as far as being elite talent on the basketball court. So now it's his time to show that he's going to stay healthy. And then under this new policy, he's going to have to really be ready because he won't be able to take as much time off probably as the Pels would want him to.
All right, Zion, I'll set the total for you. 44.5 games, over or under?
Oh man, I guess I'll go with my heart and say the over, but I don't feel good about it.
So we still got a lot of mad Saints fans. Joe is what's he got going here? He's really he's not happy.
Yeah, I say about Taysom Hill, they have no clue what to do with
I agree with that.
Hill. Yeah, he's the Joker, but they just don't really know what to do with him because, like Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, I mean, he just knows how to get guys out in space, and a lot of Mike McDaniels with the Dolphins. I mean, those guys, they just are great at motion and getting guys where they need to be on offense in order to execute those plays because the Saints have the guys. I mean, they've got the Jimmys and Joes. It's just they're not executing the X's and O's because Olave, Mike Thomas, Rashid Shaheed, now Alvin Kamara's back. You got Taysom there, Jawan Johnson. You've got weapons. There's no excuse here. And you paid Derek Carr this fat contract, which, as Danny said, man, a lot of wasted money in NOLA. Shoot, I mean, if Derek Carr doesn't turn this around, you have to chalk his name up on that board because, man, that's it. I don't want to give up, but I can't feel good.
Great. Yeah,
it's not. I've got to be real. I've got to be real. I can't be a biased homer here. I mean, y'all watch this show to get objective information, and my objective take here is that Derek Carr is not going to cut the mustard. And I know the play calling's got to improve. And even if it does, even if the Saints do make the playoffs somehow, they're going to be a one and done. This team, there's no way this team could go to the Super Bowl. There's no way.
Yeah. Well, right now at Caesars in Louisiana, they are 40-1, which I think is generous right now. They were in the 28-1 range most of the summer and early in the season. So 40-1 isn't too big of a drop off considering the way they look. And I will say this, I want to get to your point about Taysom Hill too, but odds makers haven't fully gone off the Saints because they're only getting 1.5 in New England. And remember, even though the Patriots aren't the Patriots, when they play at home, they still get kind of that public money. I thought that line would be a little bit bigger. I know the Patriots got embarrassed this week, but it's still Bill Belichick. It's, I was surprised that it was 1.5. So the odds makers aren't completely out, especially at Caesars, on the Saints. Now, I do like your point about the 40. But listen, I'm not saying Taysom is Debo, okay? But in my opinion, when he's healthy, Debo is the most dangerous offensive weapon. Not the best receiver, not the best running back, but the way they use him, getting him out in space, toughest guy to tackle in the league, in my opinion. They know how to use a guy like that. I think the comments are right. The Saints have no idea how to use Taysom Hill. None. They're just, they throw him in there. They're running the same play over and over again. There's no imagination. So I think you're right. Some coaches know how to use these guys who they can do multiple things with, and other people not quite as imaginative with them.
Right, which is hopefully this offseason the Saints can just completely scrap this current playbook, completely flush out any Sean Payton remnants. I know someone had brought that up earlier about the Sean Payton leftovers. Listen, Sean Payton is gone and he's not coming back. Same goes for Drew Brees. Flush all of those plays down the drain. It was great when it worked, but it's a different NFL nowadays. Nowadays, the motion coaches are the most successful, and that's the Shanahan coaching tree. The Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniels, those are the coaches. Matt LaFleur, another one off that coaching tree. Even though he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers anymore, Packers offense still solid with the first-year starter in Jordan Love because they know how to get guys out in space and get guys open, which is what the Sean Payton offense used to be so good at. But now that he's gone and he's older, he doesn't seem – I mean, look at Denver. I mean, their offense is not very good. It's not like – even if the Saints would have kept Sean Payton, I don't think it'd be much better. So I'm glad he's gone, but they also got to move forward and hire some coaches that are innovative. Got to get some innovative minds in this building. Can't keep going with status quo. And so, in a way, it might be a blessing in disguise if this season goes off the rails, because then they could hit the reset button. But can't give up yet. You made your bed for 2023. You got to lay in it. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yep, and a win on Sunday, and things start looking a lot better, right? So we'll see what happens. Hey, everyone, if you're listening to us live, please make sure to follow us, subscribe on YouTube, Bayou Bets. That'll help us out a lot. We appreciate you listening to the show. If you like it, please subscribe. Visit our partners at Caesar Sportsbook. A lot of times they have great odds, especially in the futures. I bet a lot of futures. I'm a futures bettor, and I bet a lot of futures at Caesars. Sometimes they have the best odds on the board, so make sure you go and check that out. Plenty of offerings in Louisiana. God, are you guys lucky? I'm up in New York. We can't bet anything up here. Louisiana has it all. I mean, we can't even bet NFL MVP in New York. So check out Caesars. They got a lot of great odds. And Spencer, you got the fantasy show coming up on what day is Monday? Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
Yep. You're going to tell everybody who to pick up, who to get rid of, right? Let them know how to fix their fantasy teams. People like me who are struggling. You're going to give us some advice, right?
Most definitely, yeah, because this is a huge point in the season. We're 4 weeks in, so we're in about the quarter of the way through. So, yeah, this is a time to really make those waiver moves. And also, it's also a time where we'll have a segment on this. Which guys are worth cutting? Is it time to move on from a Kyle Pitts or a Najee Harris? These guys, yeah, you drafted them up high, but we're 4 weeks in. You can't worry about where you drafted guys. You've got to go off out there performing now. So yeah, we'll dive into all that tomorrow on the fantasy roundup. And yes, they did. Richmond, Tulane did win.
Tulane's
but they're on
baby.
bye this week. They're on bye this week, so not really much to say about them other than they're rolling.
Yeah, the wave is rolling, and thanks for everybody who watches the show. I hope Jim feels better soon. The Saints start playing better. Jim feel better. I'm going to leave you with this. Jaden Daniels is 20-1 to win the Heisman. Okay. If the LSU had won those 2 games, he'd be second right now behind Caleb Williams. That's what I think. So, you know what? If you think that LSU could make a run here, if you think they win that SEC championship, Jaden Daniels, I don't think's done yet. Unbelievable season that he's having. 20-1. I like to live on the edge. I'm going to take a little bit of Jaden Daniels, 20-1, see what happens, see if they can get back in the mix. But Spencer, great show today. Look forward to what you got coming up all week. Jim, get better. Thanks, everybody who listened in. Thomas Casale, Spencer the Guru Urquhart, Bayou Bets. We will see you on Thursday.